Unforgivable war crime. The Manab school bombing shocks the world. Tomahawk tragedy. U.S. admits deadly mistake. 175 lives lost in Iranian school strike.
The world was left stunned by a tragic event that occurred on February 28, 2026, in the city of Manab in southern Iran. On that day, a Tomahawk cruise missile struck a girls' elementary school, killing more than 160 people, most of them young students and teachers. The strike happened during the early hours of the escalating conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran. The heartbreaking loss of so many children shocked people across the globe and sparked widespread grief and anger. Many around the world questioned how a place of learning, filled with young students at the start of their school day, could become the scene of such a devastating tragedy.
At first, there was confusion about who caused the explosion. Donald Trump suggested that Iran or another group might have been responsible. However, a preliminary investigation by the Pentagon later indicated that the missile was likely launched by the United States and that the strike happened because of a major targeting mistake. Iranian leaders strongly condemned the attack and called it an unforgivable war crime. They said innocent civilians were killed and demanded accountability.
Reports say the missile strike was originally meant to target a nearby Iranian naval facility. According to sources quoted by the New York Times, U.S. military planners used outdated intelligence data from the Defense Intelligence Agency. Because the information was old and inaccurate, the missile coordinates were wrong. Instead of hitting the military site, the Tomahawk missile struck the nearby school.
Images released by Iranian authorities showed fragments of the missile with markings that said, "Made in USA." Investigations by media organizations such as Al Jazeera also examined satellite images and damage patterns. These investigations suggested that the school was separate from the military base, confirming that civilians were present in the building when the missile hit.
The explosion destroyed classrooms and caused massive damage. Rescue workers found children's backpacks and school supplies buried under the rubble. Families gathered near the destroyed building searching for their daughters. In total, about 175 people were reported killed, including more than 160 girls and teachers. Many others were injured. This attack became one of the deadliest single incidents in the conflict, which has already caused more than 1,300 civilian deaths across the region.
The reaction in the United States has been mixed. The Pentagon's investigation described the strike as a targeting mistake caused by faulty intelligence data. However, the early statements from the U.S. government created controversy. President Trump had initially suggested that Iran might have carried out the attack using a Tomahawk missile. Experts quickly rejected this claim because Iran does not possess Tomahawk missiles, which are mainly used by the United States and some of its allies.
Several American politicians criticized the confusion around the incident. Bernie Sanders questioned the government's earlier claims and asked why the truth was not clear from the beginning. Chris Murphy also criticized the early statements and called for greater transparency. At the same time, some politicians, including John Fetterman, said the tragedy should be investigated but continued to support the overall war effort.
Iran reacted strongly to the incident. Iranian officials accused the United States of attacking civilians and called the strike an unforgivable war crime. The Iranian government released videos showing the destroyed school and missile debris in an effort to gain international attention. Iran demanded that the United States pay compensation to the victims' families and face investigation under international law.
The tragedy has also sparked reactions from politicians around the world. In the United Kingdom, Stephen Flynn criticized the attack and questioned whether it should be considered a war crime. Another British politician, Joanna Cherry, asked the British government to take a clear position. In the United States, Rashida Tlaib called for a full investigation and stronger international oversight.
Human rights organizations and international observers have also called for an independent investigation. Under the Geneva Conventions, schools are protected civilian locations and should not be attacked unless they are being used for military purposes. Experts say that even if the strike was a mistake, failing to properly verify the target could still violate international humanitarian law.
Investigations suggest that the problem began with outdated intelligence data. According to reports reviewed by journalists and analysts, the school building had once been close to an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, naval base, but had been separated from it years earlier. Because the military database was not updated correctly, planners believed the building was still part of the military facility. As a result, when U.S. Central Command officers planned the strike, they used incorrect coordinates.
The evidence linking the strike to a Tomahawk missile appears strong. Analysts examined missile fragments, satellite images, and video footage of the explosion. Experts from investigative groups and universities said the weapon's characteristics matched a BGM-109 Tomahawk land attack missile, a type mainly used by the United States. However, the exact details of the attack are still being examined.
The incident has had serious political and humanitarian consequences. In Iran, the attack has increased anger toward the United States and strengthened public support for retaliation. In the United States, the tragedy has sparked debates about the war and about the government's transparency. Some lawmakers and activists have called for accountability and even legal action. Beyond politics, the Menab school strike highlights the human cost of modern warfare. Precision weapons like Tomahawk missiles are designed to hit targets accurately, but when the intelligence behind them is wrong, the results can be catastrophic. For the families in Menab, the loss is permanent. Children who went to school that morning never returned home.
The tragedy has also raised broader questions about the rules of war and the protection of civilians. International organizations are urging governments to improve intelligence verification, strengthen targeting rules, and ensure that schools and other civilian locations are protected. Recent reports say that during the first 10 days of the major military escalation in March 2026, the United States and Israel carried out thousands of airstrikes across Iran. According to updates from the U.S. Central Command, around 9,000 targets inside Iran have been struck so far, including military facilities, missile launch sites, and air defense systems.
At the same time, the conflict has spread to the sea. In the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, several commercial vessels have been attacked and multiple ships have reportedly caught fire after being struck. The growing number of strikes on land and attacks on shipping have raised serious concerns about global trade and energy supplies, since roughly 1/5 of the world's oil passes through this narrow waterway.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has set 3 conditions to end the current conflict with the United States and Israel. First, he demands the formal recognition of Iran's legitimate rights, including its sovereignty and nuclear program. Second, he requires the payment of reparations to cover the costs of infrastructure damage and civilian deaths. Finally, he insists on binding international guarantees to ensure no further military aggression occurs against Iran in the future.
For many people around the world, the events in Menab serve as a painful reminder that wars are not only fought by soldiers. Very often, it is ordinary people, especially children, who suffer the most. What do you think? How can war errors be fixed, and can negotiations finally end this unlawful war? Drop your thoughts below. Stay informed, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe to our channel, Maz Reporter. Like bell icon. Thanks for watching. Peace.